So what actually is Openclaw? In this video, I really want to break down what Openclaw is down to its fundamental components. I think a lot of people are excited, a lot of people are scared. My goal in this video is to really break down in simple terms how it does what it does so that you can make a better, more informed decision about whether you actually want to use it. My name is Jason. I am a software engineer at Meta, and I currently lead some of the AI adoption efforts within the company. And on the side, I really enjoy working on AI and AI related tooling. So things like Openclaw are very interesting to me. And my goal in this channel is to make AI tools accessible for everyone, not just technical people. So let's just get into it. So Openclaw, it's advertised as a 24/7 AI that actually does things. So it sounds exciting, but I think a lot of this actually provokes a lot of fear in people. The idea is that you have this assistant that's running 24/7. You can chat with it. It can do things on your computer like clear your emails, book appointments for you. And one of the things that scares people the most is how powerful it can be. And I think this deters a lot of people from actually trying it. So not to say those fears are unfounded, but I think once you get down to how it actually does what it does, it's a little bit less scary. So what is Openclaw? Let's just get into it. I think most people are familiar with interacting with AI through their mobile device. So you have an application like Claude or ChatGPT running. I personally use Claude. So you have an application, and this is where you send messages, you ask questions. And when you send a message through the app, it communicates with what's called a server. So it's either Anthropic or OpenAI. Server is really just a fancy name for a computer that responds to some request that you send it. So you send your message, prompt, the server receives it, and within the server, they have all of these models that they can call. These are the models that you hear about, like for Claude, it's Opus 4.6 right now. And the server takes your prompt, it feeds it into this large language model, it responds, and then it sends the response back to you. So in this ecosystem, you don't actually own any of the data. So the Anthropic servers, they will have a database where they store all of your messages and the responses from the LLMs. And really what you're seeing in the app is the data that's stored within their servers. So in this ecosystem, really, you don't own any of the data. Everything is controlled by Anthropic server, and they only expose what they want through the app. So now what is Openclaw? So Openclaw is something that runs on your computer, and it can be your home desktop, laptop. A lot of people are actually renting what's called a VPS, which is just some computer in the cloud that you rent for a little bit or rent for a little bit permanently, however long you want to rent it for, and you install your instance of Openclaw. Okay, so now we have here, this is your Openclaw instance. So once you have your Openclaw set up, you'll have what's called the Openclaw gateway. And this is where you can start chatting with your Openclaw and asking it to do things for you. Let's walk through an example of exactly what happens when you tell it to do something. So you have your Openclaw instance. When you set it up, you can specify what you want the brain to be. So you have either Anthropic, let's just say Anthropic or OpenAI. We have a similar setup here. And Openclaw will send your messages to Anthropic, communicate with the LLM, it'll get a response back. But the difference here is that whatever responses that it gets back from Anthropic, it can start executing and doing things on your computer. And in this ecosystem, you actually own everything. So whatever it does on your computer, it writes things to files, everything is happening within your desktop. So some of the things that Openclaw has access to, the biggest and most powerful one is being able to run commands in your terminal. And in your terminal, you can do things like open browsers, it can write files, and one of the core capabilities of Openclaw is the ability to schedule what's called a cron job. Cron job is just a fancy name. Cron is time, job is just job. So it's just a job that's scheduled for a particular time. And a cron job you can already schedule on your computer. It's nothing new to Openclaw, and it's just basically a list of things to do at a particular time. So now let's walk through a base example of something you might do initially with Openclaw. Let's say you want Openclaw to schedule you a morning brief every day at 7 a.m. So in your chat interface, you say, I want a morning brief at 7 a.m. Tell me the weather in San Jose and some local news. So I'm not actually going to send this, but I'll show you exactly what happens when you send this message. So you have that message. Openclaw will take this message and it will not send it just like that. It will first prepend some things like, here are the tools that I have available. And it will start listing things like open browser, schedule cron jobs, and then it will add your message onto that. So it'll take this entire message, it will send it through the server to the LLM, and this is where all the processing happens. So the LLM will take this prompt and it will send back a list of commands basically for your Openclaw to run. And it might say something like, okay, here are the commands to run. Cronjob.schedule, and it will include details about your job. So this part will be invisible to you. You won't be able to see that. And it might send something back like, okay, response to user. Okay, I've scheduled the job. So it'll take this response, it'll run the command on your computer, and now you will have a cron job at 7 a.m. and it will have the details of how to do that job. And then you get the response back, and basically that's all that happens. And so I really want to debunk this idea of like Openclaw being this brain that's constantly running 24/7. Really all it's doing is it's taking what you want to do and it's scheduling jobs for it to execute at another time. Now that's not to take away from the magic of how powerful this is, but really some people find it scary because they think that Openclaw is just constantly running, it's always thinking, but this is really all that's happening under the hood. And some of the memory capabilities, so a personal assistant that remembers everything about you, really all that is just a list of memory files. So when you tell it to remember something about you, or if it went through the interactions with you, through conversations, it picks up things about you, it will start writing things to its internal memory files. And really, this is not that scary. It's just really a markdown file, which is just plain text about memories about you. Let me show you. I'll show you exactly what that looks like here. So you have your files, and really things that it remembers about you is just in plain markdown format. And just to give you an example of like how this works to make it a little bit less scary, let's say you can go in and modify these memories yourself. So let's say I want to add my favorite dessert is cake. Start a new session. What is my favorite dessert? Cake. Okay. And if you just go back and let's delete this, make sure we hit save. What is my favorite dessert? So whatever memories that it stores about you, you have complete access and you have complete control of everything that it stores about you. So again, there's not this huge brain that's computing and constantly remembering things. So what's happening under the hood here? So You have our memory.file, and remember when I said when you send a prompt, Openclaw will append things that are invisible to you. So it will take all the things that it remembers about you. It'll take this memory.md and it will add that to the prompt, feed it to the LLM, and now it has access to your memories. So it really isn't actually remembering anything about you. It's passing all of the things that it's stored about you as context, sending it here, and now it can actually, quote unquote, remember things about you. So I hope that takes a little bit of the scariness out of the memory files also. So really, when you break down Openclaw into its core components, it's, 90% of the time, if you're not chatting with it, Openclaw is just sitting there idle waiting for your response, very similar to what you have on your phone. This idea that Claude is running 24/7 on your phone, really it's just waiting for you to send something. And the additional thing that makes Openclaw what it is its ability to do things on your computer and to schedule things at a certain time. So I hope that was helpful and clears up some of the mysteries about what Openclaw is. I think bottom line is that Openclaw is a very, very powerful piece of technology, but at its core, it's composed of some very simple building blocks. And I think understanding what these building blocks are will give you a better idea of what it can and cannot do. In the next video, I'm going to do a little deep dive on security, because again, this is a very powerful technology. It can do a lot of things. And if you do decide to start running Openclaw, there are some things that you should be aware of. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.